Welcome to a tutorial video on jQuery basics. In this video, I'm going to talk about Ajax. Ajax originally stood for an acronym standing for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It is based on functionality within the HTML and JavaScript specifications called XML HTTP request. In earlier HTML specifications, XML HTTP request XHR allowed users to write JavaScript that could then go ask for data after the page had been loaded. This was very important for writing more dynamic and interactive web pages and web applications where data would need to be loaded and then acted upon in some way based on JavaScript. So in this example, we're going to do a very similar thing in a very basic use case. So we see here as a review, we're loading the Content Delivery Network version of jQuery for this example, and we want to make sure it's loaded before any code that uses it. So we've got it right here in the head, but again, as I mentioned in previous videos, we could put it into the body as long as it was loaded before the code that used it. So we're loading jQuery. Coming down within the body, we see a div with an ID empty element. Similar to the previous videos, we want to make sure we have something we can act upon using a selector. So, just like I mentioned in the previous videos, we're using the jQuery here, making sure that jQuery is ready and loaded, and it's acting upon an anonymous function that has some instructions within it. So because this example is using Ajax, we're using the Ajax function within jQuery. Again, using the $, and in this case, $.ajax, A-J-A-X. The Ajax function, because it's based on the earlier example of using XHR or XML HTTP request, can take different parameters that define how it's used. In this very basic example, we're finding just the URL, saying go get this and bring it back. We're also chaining two different functions, done and fail. If everything works correctly, the done function will be called and it will be done and pass in whatever the results were. If it failed in any way, the fail function will be called and then we can react to that in some way. So we see here Ajax with its parameters, chain of done, chain of fail. Within done, we see, let me make this slightly bigger, it has passed in the results as I mentioned. So whatever it gets, don't do anything with it, we're saying, just pass it immediately to the done function. And so we have here results. Within this, we have a selector, again the $, looking for an element matching the ID empty element, which I mentioned up here, ID empty element. Coming down here, we say, okay, find that element, then change its text using the text function chained in the same way that done and fail are also chained here, and change its results to whatever you get. So before I run this, let's go look at demo.txt. It's over here I have within the same project that just has the text content. This content was retrieved. Again, very basic example of using this. So we want to see over here this content was retrieved because then we know that this element was changed. So we know that the Ajax was successful. So if we run this, we see this content was retrieved, which we were hoping for. So that means the Ajax retrieved this URL. The URL was relative to this page. It said basically go get a file that's in the same directory. And then because everything worked correctly, we're passed down into the done function. Within the done function, this anonymous function was called, and these instructions said go find an element that matches this selector. The selector was the ID of empty element, which was this one up here, and change the text to results. So we know everything worked correctly. Notice that we didn't see it failed. In fact, I'll double check the console and we don't see anything, which of course we know because the done function succeeded and the fail function was not called. But we include it just in case something else happened, so we can have a record of that, and sometimes we can even react to it in different ways. So as a review, we can use Ajax functionality within jQuery using the .ajax or Ajax function. The Ajax function takes some simple parameters, the most basic of which is just the URL, the thing to go get, or wherever the data or service is we want to interact with. Then we have a done function and a fail function. Done runs if everything works correctly, and fail runs if it messed up or something happened or it otherwise failed at any step. Within done, in this case, we're passing in results, so whatever it got, pass it straight through, and then we replace the content, that is, within an element matching the ID of empty element. We said use the text function and change the results. So we can see we can use Ajax functionality within jQuery by just including a single function, 2 additional chained functions, and some parameters, and then react on done or react on fail. Thanks for watching.